Hi fishies! Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. It's been quite a while since I've sat in front of a camera and spoken to myself and recorded myself, so I feel like I say that each time I post a video. And that's because I no longer have a consistent schedule in which I force myself to post once a week. Whenever I promise to do that in my community tabs, I always find myself dreading the editing process and dreading the filming process and thinking about I don't know what to post, And it becomes more of a chore than art form or a new art form in which I wanted to learn and try. So I've long let go of my aspirations of becoming a big YouTuber that posts once a week. I just post when I want to now, but I recently logged in, and regardless of whether I post, I'm always checking the comments and the community tab, and no matter what video you comment on, I'll make sure I get to it and respond. But I logged in and I saw that we had recently reached 500 subscribers, and that just I don't know, that just takes me back. I just imagine maybe 500 isn't a lot to some people, and I don't know, some people have personal Instagram accounts that are over 500, but for me, I sit down and I think about 500 people physically present in a room, listening to me ramble or consuming I hate the word consumption, but consuming, I don't know what else to say right now, consuming my art form and enjoying the things that I post, and it really takes me aback. This is our channel as much as it is my channel. YouTube is one of those special art forms in which the viewer is part of the creative process of video production and art, and I know that regardless of whether there's 2 people watching or 1 people watching or 0 people watching, I'd still be posting, but the fact that there are 500 of you here, so I just wanted to say thank you for being here. After my Boston vlog, just to give you a little update, I came home and one of my old injuries popped back up with my lower back. I got into a car accident last December, and I've been dealing with a bunch of discs slipping in my back, and my lower back has been really in pain, so I haven't been able to sit down for a long time and record like this, but I'm finally feeling a little bit better. I did a lot of yoga, a lot of stretching, and I also just took a break to focus on my writing before I start my MFA program in August. So that's why there's been a little bit of a break, but I'm here now. I wanted to show you guys some of my June favorites. I see this video all the time on YouTube, and I love watching these videos. I know that there's a little bit of a sense of go out and purchase this thing that I'm talking about, and I want to preface this by saying I debated on whether making this video because I never like posting something and making people feel like they have to go and buy it, but also on the other hand, through these videos, I don't know, I never felt the need to go purchase the things that people are talking about. I just watch them because I just love when people just talk to the camera and ramble, and it's the perfect background noise for whenever I'm studying or writing or doing my chores. It always feels like there's just someone next to me talking to me, and I kind of like that. So this video is geared towards more of that. Let's all be financially responsible, and if you can afford something and you don't need it, let's donate to the places in which people actually need those resources to purchase the things that they need. So the first thing that I wanted to go through were some I call it moments of inspiration, but I guess the general category would be like literature, art, music. I'd first start with my music. So I've been listening to a lot of ambience music. And you might be thinking, like, ambience music? Do you mean like elevator music? Like stuff that you play in the background? To that I say kind of, but not really. I've been working on a few short stories and poems, and often when I listen to music while I do my work, if there's lyrics in it, it can be a little bit distracting because I end up listening to the lyrics, or so if I listen to like a catchy pop song, I end up listening to the song instead of doing my work. So I opt towards music without lyrics, so like jazz music or classical music, but recently I've discovered a new genre that I really like called ambience music, and certain channels that I've been listening to are Ethereal Dream. I love just the mood that it gets me into. It's very vaporwave-esque and cyber-esque, and I love listening to this while I write. It just is a huge source of inspiration for me when I listen. I feel like I'm being placed into this. I'm being placed into the ambiance that they're creating, like this cyberpunk, like post-apocalyptic Tokyo type environment. I discover them through my YouTube algorithm. So sometimes YouTube suggests me songs and videos without titles, and Ethereal Dream was one of those videos without a title that just happened to be on my explore page, and I clicked into it, and it was the best decision that I've made because I've listened to all of their albums, all of their music. Sometimes I listen to it without my headphones, and my partner's like, what are you listening to? Why does it feel like I'm being chased? Or why is there like a horror music in the background? I dig that. Like, I don't know. It gives me like a pump of adrenaline and I just start writing. And my partner thinks I'm crazy, but it's good music and I highly recommend. The second channel that I would like to recommend is Yellow Cherry Jam. They are, I think it's a couple. So there's two people and they make no AI lo-fi music. Oh my. Whenever I log into my YouTube, I've now no longer get these recommendations, but I think 2 months ago, all I would get would be those AI music channels that post AI schlop of lo-fi music, and it just is so irritating because it sounds unoriginal, it's plagiarized, it's no feeling music, like there's no human soul to it. These channels are making profit off of stolen work, and that was just so irritating to me. And for a while I just stopped listening to lo-fi because all of these lo-fi channels would be posting AI schlop, and it would all just start sounding the same, because AI is uncreative and unoriginal, so it only steals and makes work based off on what is already created. So much of this was just so boring and so irritating to listen to, but I finally found a channel, and there's a lot of other channels that do this. I just happened to come across this one, the Yellow Cherry Jam, and their AI is just so beautiful. He just has a guitar, and I think sometimes he has his keyboard out, but I think it's mostly his guitar, and he just sits with his dog and improvises and plays his lo-fi. So if you're looking for a lo-fi that is an AI schlop, I highly recommend their channel. When I am not listening to ambience music, if you are interested in more of like songs with lyrics or like pop songs, I have been obsessed with Plave. I feel like I've mentioned them in the past 2 videos, but I have not been, okay, when I think about boy groups that I've like really enjoyed listening to, or K-pop music that I really enjoyed listening to, I think the last group that I've genuinely loved was SHINee. And that's kind of telling for my age because SHINee was the biggest thing for me in elementary school. SHINee and EXO. I think those are like the 2 groups, but mostly SHINee. For me to become re-obsessed with this type of music, it has to be really good. And to call plave really good is an understatement. I think with a lot of pop music, for me, it doesn't really matter who sings it. Like, because it's produced by 20 people, the lyrics are being written in a team of 20 people. For me, like, and the voice that sings it is probably auto-tuned or different than how they usually sing on stage. It kind of loses its meaning of art for me because I'm like, then anyone can sing it. Like, anyone who fits beauty ideals can be put on stage and trained to sing it. And I kind of lost all interest in pop music for a while because it just felt like we were putting these 16-year-olds in a pseudo-military music institution and training them to make money. And that just didn't sit right with me. But plave broke all of that for me. So if you don't know what plave is a virtual idol group. So there's 5 members and they're all in mocap suits, which is motion capture suits, and they all have a character that they act on stage, and they're self-produced, self-choreographed, and all of them are so freaking talented at both singing, rapping, and dancing. It's kind of insane. And all of their songs, like, because they wrote it and they choreographed it and they're singing it and they're dancing it and they sing it live, they're not lip syncing, no one else can like take their song and reproduce it the same way that they did on stage because it's their art. And that's why I just absolutely fell in love with plave. A good introduction to them is their Dingo Music live. This is when they're like singing a compilation of all of their songs, and they're basically flexing on all of us. Like they're not using autotune, they're singing live. And I'll maybe like put a screenshot of it here, and if you want to listen to it, I'll put it in my bio. And actually I'll link all of these channels and all the stuff that I can link, I'll link it in my bio. But yeah, that's a really great introduction to them. Every single person that I've shown, they, like, even if they don't understand Korean, they absolutely fall in love with them after watching this video. So I highly recommend if you're looking for some new, fresh music to listen to. And if you're already a play fan, and I already know, like, the pleas are gonna come into the comments and ask, like, what's your favorite song? Fear not, I will tell you my favorite songs. Of course, I love all of their songs. I think if you go on to my Receptify, which is like a Spotify list of like things that you've been listening to, I'll put like a screenshot of it here. I'm not kidding when I say it's all plave, and I look like a crazy person. But if I had to choose, my favorite songs would be 12시 32분, which is 12:32, Sixth Summer, 여섯 번째 여름, and Dash. Those 3 are my favorite, in no particular order. But and Our Movie. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna just start listing all of these songs. But if you have not seen them, go listen to them. And inevitably, you're gonna fall into the plave pit hole, and you're gonna just start listening to all of their lives and just absolutely fall in love with the character dynamics between the team members. When I say like they have mocap suits and they have characters, they're not like acting out like an anime character. I think they're just genuinely just being themselves. They're just in the characters that they're given, and you can just tell like how well the team meshes together. So I highly recommend. I watch their lives every week, and I'm always in tears because it's so funny. Like, they're just so hilarious. It's like if a group of 5 best friends decided to wear mocap suits and make a singing group. A group of 5 insanely talented people make a singing group and happen to be successful, and they don't know what to do with all that success now. So I highly recommend you to go watch their lives and listen to their music. In this category, I wanted to introduce a book to you. The first is a manga, and it's called Girls' Last Tour. It's about 2 young girls, Yuri and Chito, and it takes place in a post-apocalyptic world where they explore the world by the means of a kettenkrad, which is this military vehicle, and we as readers follow along on their journey through this apocalyptic world as they meet people, as they meet extraterrestrial beings, as they interact with this post-apocalyptic environment. And I was reading this. I didn't really expect much. I think it's very rare that we find... Okay, let me backtrack. It's very rare that we find good writing, and it's also very rare that we find good writing with good art. And I would argue sometimes it's even rare. Sometimes we have really good writing, but not so really good art. And sometimes we have really good art, but kind of shitty writing. Jujutsu Kaisen. There are so many moments of silence without dialogue when I read this manga or description, which allows the appreciation of just the art and the world that the mangaka absolutely immerses the reader in. And it made me think of a lot of philosophical questions, and I think it's something to read, especially now as we are, I don't know, headed towards a world of turmoil when it comes to violence and environmental destruction. And it really leaves you, like, when I read the last page, it was something that I kept thinking about, and it's not like sad or depressing, but it's one of those things that just stick with you inside your head, and you're wondering like, what an interesting world that I've just like been taken through, and you become really invested. And it's so, like, even the kettenkrad, the vehicle in which they ride, becomes a character rather than a device of just moving from one place to another. So I highly recommend if you're looking for something philosophical and thoughtful. The last thing that I want to share with you in this section is a video game. I am a huge gamer. Like, if I am not writing or reading, I am on my computer and I'm playing video games. And I'm a huge, anyone around me that knows me in real person can say this, I'm a huge Souls-like and Metroidvania nerd. My favorite games are Elden Ring and Hollow Knight, which I've both completed the game. And people always ask, like, did you complete the DLC as well? Yes, I've completed the DLC. If you're part of this world, you might have heard about Night Rain. And if you're not part of this world, I will introduce my new favorite game right now, Night Rain, to you guys. Night Rain is a roguelike game based on Elden Ring. The gameplay is that you team up with 3 people, or you solo queue, and you drop into the world of Limveld. You know, there's a difference between that name that you might be used to if you played Elden Ring. And you can play as 8 different characters. It's currently under the rule of the Night Lord, and it's threatened by the encroaching night tide. So if you've played Fortnite, there's circles, right, where the storm comes in. Well, in Night Rain, there is the night tide, which which closes in on a singular circle. And there are 3 knights, so 2 of which are mini bosses, and the third is the final knight boss that you have to go fight and beat with your teammates. And you spend the game mapping and fighting smaller bosses, picking up upgrades and weapons and items to prepare for the third night. When they first released this gameplay, and when they first talked about this game based on Elden Ring, I was kind of a hater. I was like, I usually dislike roguelike games because there isn't a sense of world building or immersiveness or storytelling. And the reason why I fell in love with Elden Ring so deeply, or even Hollow Knight, is because I love how the environment, the items, the clothing, even the bosses, the playstyle, the side characters, the character you are playing yourself, all come together, and even the architecture all come together to build this crazy story. If you are interested in the story of Elden Ring, you don't even have to play. Like, you could watch Vati Vidya. He's another channel that I really love, and he just explains and tells the story of Elden Ring. It feels like a novel, and it's so crazy how a game can be utilized to tell the story of what we would usually see in a novel. I'll link him down below. Highly go recommend you play that game. But anyways, I was really worried that Night Rain wouldn't have any of the storytelling or qualities, and it would just be kind of like CS:GO or Fortnite, where no shade to these games, it's just not my type of game, where you're just fighting things, and I never really liked games without that storytelling component. However, Night Rain absolutely exceeded my expectations when it came to the storytelling. Within the game, there are these things called remembrances, which you could play to discover the backstories and the reason why the 8 characters are fighting the Night Lord, and the reason why they're at the Night Table Hold. And through the remembrances, you discover more about the Round Table Hold, why Limveld exists, why the Night Lord exists, and you become attached to the characters that you play, and the gameplay is just so addictive. In 2 weeks, I 100% Steam completioned the game, and currently there's like cycles of bosses that they're recycling and that they're reposting to make it difficult. I think the moment these drop, I'm like on the computer and I have to beat it on that day. So I beat all of those as well. So I'm just waiting for new content and new outfits that I could spend my in-game money to dress the characters up in. With these types of games, it's so interesting how there's like a gender dynamic. Whenever I speak to someone about it, they're like, oh, and especially if this person is male identifying, they're like, oh, you couldn't even like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, you need to be quiet because I've 100%ed the game. And mind you, I've 100%ed the game in Night Rain with all of the characters, all of the 8 characters, and I will still carry the team. The second section that I want to talk about is food. My matcha taste is very, very basic. If you go search up good matcha on Reddit, you'll see multiple people recommend you Ippodo tea, and that's where I get my matcha from. And in Ippodo tea, when you search up on Reddit, they're gonna start recommending you the Sayaka and the Umon tea. And those 2 teas are the ones that I love to drink. Umon is a little bit more expensive than the Sayaka, but I really love the deep and smooth and almost savory quality to this matcha. It's very rich, but I also purchase tins of the sayaka, and the sayaka is absolutely perfect for matcha lattes. It's this lighter form of the umon, a little bit less savory, and there's bright notes. If you are like, what the fuck do you mean that there's like, there can't be light in teas? Like, what do you mean something is bright and what's dark and what's rich? The best description that I could give you is cream pasta versus tomato pasta. Tomato pasta is a little bit acidic and bright and lighter than cream pasta, which is more rich, deeper, and savory. And that's what I think of when I think of the umon and the sayaka. For me, the sayaka is very bright, and the umon is a little bit deeper, and both are really, really great teas if you're looking for matcha to make. But this conversation is said and said again. Like, if you go on Reddit, I think there's hundreds of other comments like me who say the same thing. But I do make my matcha a little bit differently than, sometimes a little bit differently than other people. I have my Chobani oat milk, the heavy, which I use usually for my matcha lattes. But if I'm feeling fancy, I like to make my version of like Korean corn milk. If you go to Korean cafes, sometimes they have corn milk latte or corn milk coffee. But if you order it, you will have literally kettle corn milk combined with latte or matcha, and it tastes amazing. So I was thinking, like, how do I make this? How do I make this at home? Like, I love going to these Korean cafes where they have this corn milk. Like, I want to make my own version of it. I think I've perfected my corn milk, and I love making it to make my matcha. So first, I take a can of Trader Joe's corn. I put it into my blender. Then I take 4 tablespoons of condensed milk. And you might be thinking that's a lot. If you want it to be less sweet and you want to feel more of the savoriness of the corn, take out the 4 tablespoons. And also make sure you strain the corn. You don't want to have the liquid from the canned corn going into your drink. Then you eyeball the milk. I've made this so many times that I just eyeball it and it fits into the container that I always put it in. But just for your knowledge, the amount that I'm making all deposits into a 17-ounce glass bottle. Once you are done blending, drain the milk into a pot. You might have to like sift the corn around, and I hate wasting, so I would press that corn so that you get all of the corn juices out from the filter into the bowl. And if you don't want to throw away the corn, you can make bread with it, like sweet corn bread. Once you're done draining the milk into the pot, stir and heat the milk on medium heat. And once it starts steaming, that's when you know that you've gone a little too far. It shouldn't be like boiling. You should heat it so that there's like a light foam that rises to the top, and it just immerses the flavor into a milk a lot more. I've made this without the heating process step, and it definitely tastes a lot different. And once you're done with that, just take a funnel, pour it into your glass milk jar. Make sure you cool down the milk a little bit before putting it into the fridge, and then you're done. I love to have this with my matcha. My partner, who didn't really like matcha before, he's the type of person that would say like matcha tastes a little bit like dirt or too earthy. And I make this corn milk version of it. He's like absolutely in love with it. He asks for the corn milk. So if you have someone that you want to introduce matcha to, I highly suggest you try it with this corn milk. For my beauty section, there wasn't anything new that I haven't introduced before. One holy grail item that I want to introduce to all of my people with back knee and chest acne problems is the Ilyun Sika Trouble Clear Mist that you can get at Olive Young. And Olive Young is this Korean website. If you search up Olive Young, it'll be there. But oh my god, I used to have such bad body acne. Everything that didn't go on my face, which is a blessing, I know. Like, everything on my face went on my back or my chest, and I don't like visually mind like when I get acne. It's a human thing. It was just that like it'd get irritating, or like when my clothes would like rub me the wrong way, like my acne would pop and it would just be, I'd be in pain. But with this mist that I've been using for the past 2 years, it has completely cleared up my chest. I don't know, like I'm wearing something that you could see my chest in. You can see that there's no more acne here. It has completely cleared up my chest, and it's also completely cleared up my back. I'll try to show you guys what, like my back from this angle, but and of course, disclaimer, like every product works differently on someone, but this was the only product which actually cleared up my acne. And I've used so many acne sprays. I also do exfoliate. I have like one of those Korean exfoliating towels. I exfoliate every day. I used 3 different types of like not even hundreds, that was exaggerating, but like I've used so many different types of body soaps since middle school to try to figure out like why my acne wouldn't go away. But this was the one spray which cleared up everything immediately in the span of like a week. I don't have it with me right now because I've used it and I'm waiting on my next order. The last section that I want to share with you guys is stationery. A lot of you guys are here, I think, because you guys have watched my what's in my bag video, and I talk about how obsessed I am with stationery and stickers there. Around 3 months ago, my fountain pen, I don't even know like the brand of which, it was like a cheap like $6 fountain pen that I found in Japan that I used for around 3 years. Broke, like it was leaking ink everywhere, and my partner saw that that fountain pen was the only pen that I would use. I wouldn't use any other pen except for that and my 0.5 Muji pens. But my partner was like, I want to get you like a for life fountain pen, and he bought me the Lamy 2000. Oh my, she is gorgeous. What's cool about the Lamy is that unlike other fountain pens, do you see how that tip is slightly hidden here? And I have I think it was the medium one, so it comes out a lot thicker. When I'm in my brainstorming process, I can't do that digitally. And I really envy people who can do that digitally because it's a lot more easier to organize. But I'm the type of person who like writes out their entire novel on paper or their entire short story on paper and then translate that into Google Docs as my first draft. So I also would like to recommend, if you have a fountain pen, the Tomoe River notebook. I just got this out of local Kinokuniya, and the pages are all Tomoe River paper, which is slightly thin and translucent, and it's perfect for ballpoint pens. There's no smearing. The pen dries fairly fast. The ink dries fairly fast on the paper. Of course, it's still a fountain pen, so it's not immediately drying like a ballpoint pen. The Ray Tora organizers, and I have one of sea creatures, and the other one is of ice cream. There's a little border collie ice cream here, but I use this to tab the side of my of my notebook so that I know what section I'm writing new stuff in. It's so easy for me to just take it, flip to the page, and get exactly to the place in which I need to be. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed me rambling and just talking about stuff that I've really enjoyed using or taking part of or listening to or playing this past few months. You might be thinking, where's the fashion section? I hope to make a video where I can show like my daily outfits that I've been wearing, because my fashion sense has changed a lot. So that's in a separate video, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.